Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to the Pipeline Podcast, episode 111. I'm your host today, Darren McClymans, and joining me today for today's very special episode, it's the one, the only, the fabulous, the amazing Marnie Moose is back. Marnie, how's it going?
Yeah. Hold on, I want to...
Woo!
I don't know if you're able to hear that. I put the Nickelodeon applause sound effect. I'm not sure if you heard it. I don't know if the stream heard it, but I played it right now.
We have little...
Oh, I heard it.
Hold on, let me do it again. I never use it because it's so quiet, but hold on. People are like, what are they doing? What are they doing?
Honestly, do that for when you introduce a new guest. Just play that.
Yep. They're like, what? I can't hear it. Marnie, it's great to have you back. You've been on the show. I think you've been on this show once where we did our Discord. I brought a bunch of people in from our Discord. We talked about a lot of random things. That was very on in the show's history. And obviously I had you on over on my other show. We talked Loki season 2. I think there was some other show on at that time. Maybe was it Gen V or The Boy or something came
I think
out
that might have been during the first time I was here. I remember we talked about Gen V or something like that.
It was like Gen V Loki, I think, or something. I don't know. It was very early on.
Something like that. I remember I joined in twice the end of last year.
Gotcha. Yeah, but no, this is your first time as like a proper like solo guest.
Yeah.
Kind of by yourself, full spotlight, 100%.
Yeah,
I've seen.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I kind of expected one or two other people here. I did not know it would just be just me.
Nope,
but
just you.
I'm down for it. I've been anticipating this all week. A bit nervous today, especially since my internet has been just going on the fritz just a few minutes prior. But it's fixed, and now we're ready to do this. Ready?
No, absolutely. I'm very happy to have you on. You've always been an absolute pleasure to talk to, so no reason to be nervous. Absolutely. I've been liking your videos as well. It seems like you're growing out your page. You're making that your own, and I'm excited to see what you're working on, man. For sure.
Yeah, YouTube has been blowing up a lot better this year. Like I started off with this year with like only I think it was like 300 something subscribers, and during the middle, especially in the summer, like I posted a ranking video on Fortnite seasons. It blew up entirely, and now I'm at like a little bit over 800. Like it's been going great. So
that's amazing, man.
I do have another ranking video planned on Call of Duty Zombies. So if there's anyone that plays that, I'm doing a ranking video on that. I do not know when I'm going to get it out, though, because I'm still writing it. I was hopefully going to get it out before Black Ops 6 came out last week. That did not happen. So I'm going to just try and get it out before the end of this year.
Amazing. Stranger in the house. Hello, Stranger. Hope you're doing well. Stranger confirms it was Gen V and Loki. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was Gen V.
Yeah, so it was like the end of Gen V. It was the finale of Loki. That was a fun episode for sure. I do miss Loki, man. That's still, I think, my favorite Disney Plus show.
It's a good Marvel show.
It's so good. Seb asks, do you guys like Jesse L. Martin? A very random question, but from what I know, yeah, he seemed nice. He seems like a great actor.
Jesse L. Martin, my goat. He was in that Flash show. I remember I saw it was a trailer of him on a different show, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's the Flash guy."
Yeah.
But
because that's why he it was announced he wasn't going to return for season 9 at first before it was confirmed to be the final season because he went to go do that show, and he kind of is just playing Joe again, like he's playing another cop. Like it feels like in everything,
he's just doing another cop. Like he gets another Flash, ready to do some other shows, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we want you to play another cop." Like,
yeah, because even before in the Flash, he was like on like. I don't know if it was like a CSI or something or is it Criminal Minds or something cop related where he was also just a cop on that show too. So he knows what he's good at and he just keeps doing those. Yeah. But we like to start these episodes I like asking my guests things that they've been enjoying lately in terms of either TV, movie. I know you play a lot of games. Is there media right now that you're really loving that you would love to talk about?
So we'll start off with shows. I am I really liked Agatha a lot. It had its finale a few days
Yeah.
ago, and I'm gonna be honest, I really liked it. And this might be a hot take,
Okay.
but I think it's one of the like Marvel's best Disney Plus shows.
I agree.
Like better than maybe Loki season 1. And I rewatched Loki season 1 a few months ago. It was like when Deadpool and Wolverine came out. I was gonna do like a
Right.
Disney Plus show watch, and I only got to Loki season 1 because for some reason I did not want to continue on with What If season 1, even though I liked that. I don't know why, but that's not really the point. The point is I watched Loki season 1 and I liked it. Then I watched Agatha and I thought it was pretty good. I'm very shocked that it was as good as it was.
Yeah, I haven't finished the final 2 episodes yet. Like with Halloween, I've been super busy this last week or over last week. But just based on the first 7 that I've seen so far, I've loved it a lot. Like I've had some little nitpicks here and there, but I think overall it's like this is the direction, more of what a direction I want them to take their TV shows. Something that does feel more episodic, something that does feel kind of more obviously set in the world of the MCU that's very well established, but also feels like it's doing its own thing, it's doing its own style. It doesn't just feel like, for the most part, a movie shoved into like 6 episodes. It feels like, no, this was made to be a TV show, which I think is cool. Like, it's kind of what I wanted. And I hope going in, and we'll talk about TV shows later on in this episode, because we got a first look at a bunch of these. I'm hoping next getting to Daredevil, which is meant to be a 2-season show, that continues.
Yeah, like this, how do I describe this? I'm having a brain fart right now. But Agatha just does what I want out of these Marvel shows. Like it's like an episodic show. It doesn't feel like it's rushing anything at all. I mean, the first 2 episodes I feel like could have been paired into one, because I think the first episode is my least favorite because of like all the stuff that comes later, which is really good. So I felt like you could have just combined episodes 1 and 2 into one episode, but I don't know. It all paced perfectly well. Like episodes 1 to 4 are setting up the show, and you get the witch, like the trials of the week stuff. Episode 5 is that too, but then they sort of transition with the like Billy Maximoff reveal at the end, and then episode 6 to 9 is sort of like revealing all that stuff with the sigil that Teen had, all of Lilia's visions and stuff, a lot of Agatha's past. Like it just feels so structurally sound. It's kind of perfect in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a pretty good year for like Marvel stuff in general, and obviously Sony stuff aside, which we can talk about later. But I think like I enjoyed Echo for the most part. Like I think I enjoyed that show better more than most, even though I have my problems with it. I enjoyed that show. I enjoyed Deadpool. I enjoyed Agatha. I loved X-Men. Obviously, like X-Men's been probably one of my favorite things. Period. I've seen in a very long time. I love that show so much. And then running the year with What If. So let's see if they can stick the landing.
I hope they knock it out of the park as well with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any other movies or shows that you wanted to share?
So there's of course the Penguin show that's going on right now. I'm really liking that. I feel like in terms of some of the other shows, I don't know how to say this. I think it's one of my favorites, but also least favorite because it's not my thing. Like I'm into sci-fi, like superhero sort of crazy stuff like that. And, you know, The Penguin is a crime drama thriller sort of thing. So, you know, I'm really liking it. But at the same time, it's also not one of my favorites because it's not my thing.
That's
Agatha, I like more because it stems into the witchy fantasy stuff. You know, I like The Penguin is objectively better than Agatha, but I like Agatha slightly more because it's my thing. Get what I'm...
No, 100%. I'm there with The Penguin and Superman and Lois, where I think like Penguin's the better one, but like I think Superman and Lois is the one I'm enjoying the most because
same
it is the Superman and Lois.
Superman and Lois.
Yeah, but also it's really cool to I think have it like 3 ongoing superhero shows, or was ongoing because I guess Agatha's over now, but like 3 were on at the same time every week for the last several weeks, and they all offered, I think, something different within the genre of superhero stuff, which I think is really cool that we kind of had that during an era like a post Arrowverse fall, right? Like typically
Yeah.
where every fall we'd have all the lineup. So it's nice that we still have that fall superhero lineup in some way, shape, or form. Sib asks, "Are you going to see Wicked? Do you have any interest in seeing Wicked?"
No, not really. I mean, maybe. I don't know when it's supposed to come out. Is it like in a week or something, or
It's later in the month, like November 22nd, I think.
22nd?
It's pairing up with it's that and Gladiator 2. They both come out the same day. And then a week later it's like Moana 2. So it's a packed like Thanksgiving weekend, I guess. I'm excited because I do like the Wicked music that I've heard, but I've never got a chance to go to the show or anything. So I'm excited to be like, all right, similar to Hamilton, where it's like I hadn't seen Hamilton before. I'm excited to see what all the hype has been about all these years, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, I'm trying to think, is there anything I want to share that I've been, I haven't been watching as much TV this week. I've been just so busy, but I've been on kind of a gaming hit recently. I started God of War for the first time, the 2018 God of War, and that's been fun. I don't have a lot of time to start many games as much as I used to. It slips by me, but that's been fun to play. And I got the new Mario Party, which I'm a massive Mario Party guy. I love those games, especially this year. I've been on a roll. I played like all of the Switch ones. Fantastic new maps new boards that they've done for this new one. Love what they're doing over there. Not much else to say on that regards, though. So with that being said, I say we jump into some news stories of the week. There hasn't been a massive week. There was a lot of Marvel kind of things I wanted to talk about. This first one is not Marvel, though, but I do want to bring it up. Jumanji, I don't know if you can see it. I'm screen sharing it, so I can't zoom in.
I can see it, like I can see the live stream, and I can see it kind of like in the bottom corner, but I can still see it. I can see it well.
I will read out what it says on each of these slides. The third installment in the new Jumanji franchise will release December 11th, 2026. So first off, are you a fan of the Jumanji franchise at all? Are those a set of movies that you've been into, or you have not kind of checked them out?
I have watched I think it's just the new ones. I haven't seen the old 1990s one in a long time. So just with these new ones, I've enjoyed them. They're not masterpieces, but they're just fun to watch. Yeah, they're not bad. Though I'm gonna let you, if you need to say anything, I'll let you speak first.
No, I mean, I'll be honest. I am a big fan of the Jumanji franchise. Like the original movies when I grew up on as a kid. I think that it was such a blast. Robin Williams is one of my favorite actors of all time. I think he's a prodigy. Like, I think he's brilliant. And then when we were getting these new ones, at first I'm like, The Rock and Kevin Hart. I was like, that's a big change over from Robin Williams. But what I love about these movies, these first two at least, especially when it comes to like your Dwayne Johnson, your Kevin Hart, and like those are actors to me that kind of just played the same characters over and over again. And what I've loved about these movies is it allows these actors to play new characters. Like I think it really stretches their acting muscles. So it's like, okay, but this one, Dwayne Johnson has to play a teenage boy, and then the next one is like, all right, so now he has to play Danny DeVito's character, and then like in the second one, I don't think the second one's as good as the first one, but the second one they're like, okay, but they all switch bodies half through, and it's like, whoa, and they get to really have fun. I think the actors get to have fun in their acting. It's like, I think this is my favorite performance from Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, because it's like, it's just different than anything they've done up until this point, which I think is really fun.
Yeah, like they're given a lot to do, especially it's really in the second one because they switched the bodies. They're just given a lot more to do. I still it's been a while since I watched the second one, but talking about it now, I still remember the scene of them. I think they're switching. They're in some like room with the tree, and they switch bodies, and I think it's Fridge in the woman's body or something, and uh, whatever her other character was in Jack Black's body.
Yeah.
Just that whole bit was so funny. They're like they know how to portray these versions well, even though they're completely different characters and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I am just very happy that they get to at least finish off the trilogy. Like the last one came out 2019. We're now in 2024. I was getting a little concerned there for a minute because I was like, oh, it's been a minute because the first one to the second one came out about a year, like 2 years apart. So there wasn't a huge break.
2 years apart. First one was in 2017, and the second one was in 2019.
Yeah, right. So now we're going from 2019 to 2026. Big jump. What's that? 6-7 years break. So it was a time apart. But I am glad that, and to be fair, all these actors are very busy. Dwayne Johnson keeps booked. Jack Black stays booked. Kevin Hart's very busy. Karen Gillan has been in stuff they're all very busy actors at this point.
Yeah.
And I am curious kind of where they go with the third one, because they end the movie on a cliffhanger where it's like Jumanji's coming back to the real world very much like the original movie, which I think is a nice full circle moment if this is like the end of the trilogy, kind of ending it where the original movie kind of was as well. I think is very cool. I'm very excited to see what they do with that. Anything you want to see in this one, or are you just like, all right?
I mean, honestly, I'm just here. I'm just hoping it is good, as fun as the other ones. I remember there was a bit in the second one where the main villain was an actual player, because he also had the weaknesses and strengths tab as well, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dwayne Johnson said himself that they would explore that in the third. So I hope they do that. But something I wanted to bring up is like I heard the news of them announcing the new Jumanji movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, what took them so long? But then it hit me, and I was like, oh, Dwayne Johnson was just trying to change the hierarchy of the DC universe, so that's why it took so long. But
that, and then he had to go pitch his live action Moana movie.
Yeah, and then the Moana, and then Moana 2. I think he's in that new Red One movie with Chris Evans or something.
Yes. And he's doing a monster truck movie for Disney as well, and also fairness, there was also a writer strike that happened.
Yeah, that too.
So that probably pushed it back a couple years, or at least pushed it back a year. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for this. I'm very curious to kind of see where they go in the future of everything. All right, we're going to be jumping into our second news story here. Armored Wars. Okay, so we have not an update, actually less than an update, if you will. So one of the writers, Marvel writers, I'm not sure if he's connected to Armored Wars, if he's just a writer in general, talks the current situation with the upcoming Marvel project Armored Wars, and this is what they had to say. He said, in the same way Blade goes away and comes back the next day, Armored War it'll be a thing, and then it'll be a thing that happens every few months, then it won't happen, and then it'll be happening again. No, I think this is a very interesting statement, especially when Blade, the thing he compared it to, recently got kind of shelved on the corner, where it's like, actually, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break for a couple years.
Pushed back to, we don't know. It probably, I assume it probably won't even be released until like, I don't know, the next like 5 years or so. I doubt it, because they probably have like no plan for Blade for any of this. I feel like I'm pretty sure they might have teased him at the end of Eternals.
Yeah, they did.
And I don't know if that was like something they were planning to do, or I think they greenlit it like a few years prior to that movie. But there's just been nothing happening with that.
No.
Like it was supposed to release last year. It was supposed to release last year in November, but then they pushed it back to next year. And now there's nothing on that. So I don't know. Like, I don't really care at all. I haven't even really cared when they announced it, or, announced the next date, which would have been like last year, but it's not, because it just doesn't really interest me, because we don't know much about this Blade or what the plot will be. So
yeah, we talked about Blade last episode, and just kind of like the the whatever with that movie, and like I do think it's probably gonna be post Secret Wars now. Like I think it just makes sense at this point to be like, well, Secret Wars is your time to kind of restart things, you rebrand the Marvel kind of slate or whatever. You're recasting characters you want. To me, it just makes sense to wait until after then.
Yeah, honestly, just make it like an epilogue, either an epilogue to the multiverse saga, or like as just as a new introduction to this new. Because I don't know, I feel like they could just reboot the MCU after Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So if that's what they're gonna do, make it an epilogue to that, or just as the start of the new phases 7 through 9, because they're probably gonna do that. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
I need at least to know something good, and then I'll be optimistic about it.
Yeah.
I would say one trailer, but there's nothing of it.
No.
There's nothing. So,
but like in terms of Armored Wars, and I think that's a much more interesting. I think they're in a very interesting spot, especially post the Robert Downey announcement with him coming back. Like I've said for a while, like Robert Downey coming back either means Armored Wars is going to be one of the most important projects going forward, or it's dead in the water. Like it's one of the two, because it could either single-handedly set up Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
Like it could set up everything. You know, this is a show about like Tony Stark's armor getting into the wrong hands. What other hands than someone who looks exactly like Tony Stark? Like I could see a scenario if they wanted like Robert Doone being the villain of like an Armored Wars kind of movie, and him kind of being like the face Rhodey has to go against, especially in a world where Rhodey was a Skrull for all these years, and now he's let all these things kind of happen to him. And what's your kind of just thoughts on the whole situation? Like, do you want Armored Wars to happen? Do you think it's dead? What do you think's going on?
I would be very looking forward to Armored Wars just to see more of Don Cheadle as Rhodey. But at the same time, it's kind of like Blade, where I kind of just not like, kind of don't care because we don't know much about it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know if it was supposed to be like a special or a TV show. Then it got changed to a movie. I don't know. I just hear every news every here and then that it's just God. It's something I want to be looked forward to, but at the same time, I don't really know. Especially since they've now said that that Rhodey was a Skrull.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Either way, like a few years down the road, just to see at least one set photo or something for me to be giddy about it.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah. No. I hope it happens. I think especially for Don Cheadle's sake, like Don Cheadle. I guess he kept like Rhodey as a character is the longest running MCU character outside of now Iron Man's coming. Like Downey's coming back now, but like at the time, the longest running MCU character, having been in the first Iron Man. And like I think the prospect of him getting his own movie, I love that. I thought that was such a cool thing for him. Finally, him getting the spotlight and him getting his time to shine, I think is awesome. I don't know. I hope it happens, but again, either set up Secret Wars and Doomsday, or it's never going to happen. I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, or maybe if they also, cause like I said, maybe reboot after Secret Wars, then it could be a part of the new universe or something. Like end off the old MCU with the character we know before going into something new. I'm not sure. We just like to see something, and then maybe I'll get excited, maybe not. I don't know. Like it's kind of confusing and a mess. I hope it turns out well. Hoping at least comes into fruition.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, because we also don't know what's kind of going on with the Iron Man mantle at the moment. Like, we obviously have Riri Williams, Ironheart coming in. Like, she's getting her show end of next year or middle of next year. Will she be the new Iron Man? We are doing Secret Wars. You could technically have a new Tony Stark Iron Man if you want. Will Rhodey become Iron Man? Like, there's a lot of kind of like, I feel like potential timelines kind of coming our way, and it's like, okay, what direction are they going to end up going? And yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good transition to our the big thing I really want to talk about this week, or in terms of news. We had the giant Marvel Disney Plus first look trailer throughout this last week, which I didn't know it was coming. It kind of just, I don't know if you were on Twitter when it happened. Someone sent me a link. They're like, oh, it's this new leaked trailer. I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's leaked. They've got all this footage. And then 5 minutes later, they just put it out to the internet. It's like actually not leaked. It's just here. So did you watch this trailer that they ended up putting out?
I did watch the trailer.
Okay. What was your, I mean, we're going to watch it here in a second, but like, what was your kind of thoughts on the trailer, or just, what we got to see?
Honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to most of these shows, even ones that I didn't have no expectations for whatsoever. That have got me to like, okay, this could work. Some of this could work. Some of this could be pretty good, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean, we got a lot here. I think right off the bat, and we have the dates later on here. My only kind of concern with all of this is just like 9 projects in 2025 is a lot of projects.
Yeah, I remember when they said they would cut back on the projects, quality over quantity, and then they just kind of lied, and they're gonna push out most of these. Well, 2 of the projects are just 4 short episode series things.
Sure.
So,
sure.
like, I think that's Eyes of Wakanda and the Marvel Zombies thing. So if you're not really taking account into that, then it's still a lot, though, to be honest.
7 is still a lot. Yeah. I think I think they've just been in a tough situation. Like, they have all these to me it seems like, oh, they are trying to focus on quality over quantity. That rings true with what they're working on with Fantastic Four and what they're saying about a lot of these projects that they're working on. I think Daredevil was kind of under that same initiative, this new run of the show. But also, they have all these projects that they made while it wasn't that mentality. And I think next year might be, okay, let's just get them out. Get them out before we can finally move on.
Yeah, let's just wrap up the multiverse saga because nobody likes it. Let's get it out. Let's get it out.
So yeah, let's look at this trailer. Now again, we've already watched this, but I do want to just talk about a couple of things within the trailer.
I brought you here.
Can you hear it okay?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Smell what you're stepping in. It's gonna get good.
Also, this is such a fun use of like the Deadpool and Wolverine bit. Like I can see people starting to use this template a lot. I can see them just keep using the same meme.
It's gonna get good.
Honestly, I need a green screen of that.
Right.
It's been some time, hasn't it?
Okay, Deadpool and Wolverine. Or I'm not sorry, Daredevil Born Again. Let's talk about this bit. How are you feeling on Daredevil Born Again? Are you excited? Were you a fan of like the OG run?
So, okay, I have a confession. I haven't actually watched the Daredevil show. I will. Don't burn me at the stake. But
no,
I will. I do want. That's a show that I really want to watch. I want to wait until most of these other shows. I mean, well, Agatha's done, so there's only Penguin and Superman and Lois. So I guess I technically have time now to do that. But I want to watch that show before Daredevil Born Again. But from what I've seen of the show, it is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. It does look pretty cool. I need the context of like the original show, and then
I mean, from everything we've seen, like I think the original, what they worked on originally, like that original, pre-reworking the show, did feel like it was going to be its own thing, and now this new kind of bit of the show feels a lot more like basically like Daredevil season 4 to me. Like it feels like almost a, you have Bullseye and you have Punisher and you have Foggy and Karen back and you have all these kind of storylines that they're just kind of picking right up where we left off. And I think that's just a cool thing after how long we've waited for this show. Just like the campaign, like it was canceled and then we campaigned and we campaigned and we campaigned, and like the fact that we're here is crazy to me. Now I do want to. Now we saw this in the leaked trailer over at what was it, D23 that we weren't supposed to see, but Kamala Khan's dad is in this season, which that's kind of a weird like. like out of all the MCU characters, that's not one of them I would have expected them to kind of pull in.
Yeah, it feels like they put a bunch of like character names from the MCU on a wheel, spun it, and it went that way. Wait, do we want like actual relevant character? Nope, let's do Kamal Khan's dad.
Yeah,
there we go. He's gonna be in the show.
yeah. I mean, they've teased that Daredevil Born Again will feature a bunch of these little MCU cameos and appearances, and hopefully this is just like one of the more minor ones. Like in the original run, we were supposed to get Bucky in the show, which is wild to think about, but like. Maybe they still snuck him in there. Obviously, there's a bunch of like the Defender characters they could kind of throw in if they want, which I'd like to see. I think that'd be cool if they did that. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like this one, some of the most hype footage we have here, but it is kind of stuff we've seen in various stills and the leaked trailers we saw before. I am curious when the proper trailer will come out, because this is the next Marvel. I guess What If would be the next Marvel.
Yeah,
show.
like after
What If. This is the next live action TV show they got coming out. So
yeah,
I'll be curious when we get a trailer.
I can probably sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I could probably see a trailer maybe like before the end of this year, like in December or end of this month, end of November, maybe.
Sure.
Who knows?
Or even after What If, like maybe after What If they'll like. I don't know. Be like, oh, here's first look at Daredevil or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I lied. There's 2 shows before Daredevil because there's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that friendly your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Okay. Yeah. We've also been waiting for the show for a very long time. This was announced, I think, back in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Are you at all excited for the show?
Yeah, it looks kind of fun. I don't know much about the animation. Like, I don't know. It feels. Do you know what rotoscoping is? Have you heard
a little bit? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's just animating over a live action thing. Like it feels kind of like that with some of the movements. Yeah. But it looks kind of fun.
Yeah, I really need to see more of this like animation, because I think part of me really likes it because it does kind of look like a comic book. Like it does kind of just looks like you're watching like a motion comic, just a kind of or a graphic novel come to life. At the same time, though, it does look kind of cheap. Like there is some parts of it
weird. It looks off. Like the beginning shot of Spider-Man swinging across the city for like a split second looks like it. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels like a video game, like cheap video game cutscene, I guess. Like I got some vibe from it that was just off, and the way they move in that one scene where they're fighting a kid or something, like it looks kind of off, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really need to see more, because like I feel like we had very similar reactions to X-Men 97, where it's like, oh, the animation looks a little different, and then we got it. I was like, oh, okay, that's better. So yeah, I'm hoping that's the case here, where it's just we don't get a good enough look at it. I am just happy we're getting it. I do want to answer DH1's question really quickly. Do you think Luke Cage or Danny Rand will be making an appearance, considering their shows were liked by the fandom as Daredevil and Jessica Jones? So am I to assume you also haven't seen the Jessica Jones Daredevil or Jessica Jones Luke Cage?
I do. Okay. Do I need to watch those shows like with Daredevil as well, or do I? I mean, they feel like the same kind of. They're like shows that feel like they're made from the same cloth, so I don't know if I need to watch those or not.
Yeah, they're all set in the same. I guess it's all in the same universe now because it's all canon. Yeah, but yeah. Okay, here's the issue when it comes to, I think, rewatching Daredevil or watching Daredevil. It's like seasons 1 and 2 are pretty on its own, right? Does its own thing. Then season 1 of Defenders kind of like bridges Daredevil season 3. Like a big thing happens to Daredevil in that show to kind of bleed over to season 3, so it's hard to just watch Daredevil. It's that like Mandalorian Boba Fett thing where it's like you kind of can't skip. You kind of have to watch Boba Fett and Mandalorian together as like a kind of a midway thing. So I'd say at least Defenders, but then there's the Defenders thing where it's like Do you want to watch a show where you don't know all the other characters? So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation.
Honestly, like I'll probably watch it just to get into it. Because I haven't watched those shows. I would like to start watching those. So just like to actually get into it, I'll probably watch it.
Gotcha. DH1, is Spider-Man show part of the MCU, or is it like X-Men 97 where it's its own separate thing? It was originally, when they first announced it, it was part of the MCU. Now it's separate. It's its own separate little world. It's its own separate universe. So it's just kind of like an Elseworld story that they can tell. Alrighty. Next up here, we have Ironheart, which... this is a show that we've also been kind of waiting for a very long time. They announced this. I remember people saying that they saw a trailer back in 2022, right after Wakanda Forever. Or no, I think it was before Wakanda Forever. I think maybe people saw it before Wakanda Forever. It's been in the works for a long time. They've been working at it. Are you excited for this one?
Not gonna lie, I am pretty excited for this one. I enjoyed the character in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
And from the footage, it looks like also a pretty fun show, with Riri Williams. Like honestly, doesn't look half bad.
No, this trailer looks like it's a trailer for a movie. Like it doesn't look like you're watching a TV
where
show
she
trailer.
slams down the truck looks awesome.
That looks straight out of like a theater experience. And I think this is like the last show. Hold on. That's kind of the one. I think this is like the last show in like the original TV show roster that they did, right? In terms of like before we're getting now showrunners and show Bibles and like proper multi-season type thing. This is kind of the last one of that. So it makes sense why it looks so expensive, because it probably was.
Yeah.
No, I think this is my favorite piece of footage that we saw through this event. Like it looks very cinematic, it looks very fresh.
It looks pretty good though
looks pretty good, yeah.
This.
I liked her character in Black Panther too. I thought she was a fresh breath there. I assume this will also set up the Young Avengers stuff, as I assume she's going to be a member of that show as well.
Is this supposed to be a show or is it supposed to be a movie?
This is a show. This is a
It's a
Disney
show? Okay.
Yeah.
Or I meant the Young Avengers thing. Is that
Oh,
gonna be a
Young
show?
Avengers. We don't. It hasn't even officially been announced. It's just like they're setting it up, but we still don't even know exactly what they're doing with it. If it will even happen. Like maybe there's a world where it doesn't even amount to something. I have a personal theory. Not to stay on this too long. I know we've been talking for a minute, but I have a feeling they're going to maybe set it up in the Avengers movies and then they announce it, where it's maybe they are a team working together in the Doomsday Secret Wars, and then post Secret Wars, they kind of get established as their own team, perhaps.
Yeah, I can see that.
So yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. What if we don't have to spend time on too much because they barely showed anything?
Yeah.
My boy Coulson is back. Thank goodness. It's been a minute since we've seen Bill Coulson. There's some interesting shots in here. You have the mech Captain America suits. Did you like What If? You already kind of talked about it at the start, but
yeah, What If is pretty good. I think season 2 is not as good because the first 3 episodes were kind of rough, or 3 or 4. But then after the 4th or 5th episode, it just kind of it was pretty good towards the end. But it's still season 2 is still pretty good, just not as good as the first season. Well, I have to rewatch it to, determine that. But from what I remember of season 1, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I actually think I like season 2 slightly more. But yeah, it's a show I think that's consistently it's pretty okay. I'm never I'm never in. Well, I won't say I'm never in love, because I do think they have episodes that are very good. That, I think that Doctor Strange episode in season 1 is great. I think a couple of those season 2 episodes are great. But I think most of the time it's pretty yeah, that's okay. That's
I remember
that was an episode of television.
Yeah, I remember when the Doctor Strange episode released. I was so distraught, and then they just ended it, and I was like, "What? You have you Watcher? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
like I was kind of in like I was in a mood like after that. It was I was probably not okay.
Marvel Zombies, which is like a slight spin-off of What If, I suppose. It's not, I don't think it's canon to that Zombies episode, but it's like a Zombies adjacent episode.
I feel like it might just, I mean, I know they did like a teaser with zombie Thanos, so maybe that's what they'll do for this. They'll just continue off of with the zombie Thanos. That would be kind of funny. I'd be down for that.
I'd be down. I'm ready for this one to come out as well, because we've also been waiting a long time for Zombies. Like, it's just a little 4-episode thing, and they just kind of keep, it's just out there somewhere. I was like, all right, let's see it. I'll be honest, I think this might be my least anticipated out of all the shows here.
Like, I don't know, it might be fun, but at the same time, it's just content for Disney Plus because they need something to forget people watch. You know, it feels like that to me. But
yeah, I mean, you know, I like Marvel trying new things. This is something very different. I'm also just not a huge zombie guy in general. I know this ironic coming from the guy who just binged like all of Walking Dead, but like, zombies aren't like my favorite thing ever. I think what really gets me engaged is just like, I feel like it's a bunch of characters teaming up, which I'm excited for. Like, Miss Marvel's the lead of this, and it's like Yelena and Shang-Chi and, you know, Kate Bishop, and like, that's kind of what I've been wanting from the Phase 4 characters. Is like, I love a lot of these Phase 4 characters, but we haven't seen them like team up yet, which is kind of what I've been waiting for. So
I'm pretty sure that Blade is going to be Moon Knight in this show. I just remember seeing something on Twitter that was like, first look at Blade as Moon Knight. So this is going to be his actual proper debut in the MCU, guys. We don't have to wait for his movie in like 5 years. We're going to get it next year. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, it's like they 100% thought Blade would be out before what if season 3.
Yeah. That does not age so poorly.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, maybe that's why it took What If season 2 so long to come out. Because because that had a massive break. Like we were like, why isn't it here? It took them years, and then they're like, it's fine, it's here, it's whatever. Just screw it. Okay, and I guess the final like big piece or kind of trailer, we have the Wonder Man. Let's just watch this really quickly.
You can slate whenever you're ready.
Simon Williams, reading for Wonder Man. I was born to play this character.
And we both have a lot riding on this.
You better not mess this up. I know.
Okay. I was not expecting Wonder Man footage. I was very shocked when I saw that. Because we are over a year away from anything.
Yeah.
Because this comes out at this time next December. They technically didn't even announce to the public Wonder Man. Like, we knew about it since, you know, we're chronically online and we see all the Marvel things they put out, but like they never announced it like at a Comic-Con or at D23 or anything proper. It's never been in the proper lineup until now, at least. Are you excited for Wonder Man?
Yeah, like I think the 3 shows that I'm looking forward to next year are I think the only live action series. There might be another one, but you know, Daredevil Born Again, the Ironheart, and this one I'm looking forward to. I don't really know much about the character itself in the comics, but I'm pretty sure it's like a comedy of sorts, at least from what I looked up online of the show. I think it's created by the guy of the Shang-Chi director, I think, from what I saw.
Yes, it is.
So honestly, this could be pretty good. It could be pretty fun. I like that it's like a Hollywood sort of thing. He's an actor. So I hope they do. Have you've seen the Fall Guy movie from earlier this year?
Yeah.
I feel like I hope it's something like that, kind of, where it's an actor in Hollywood. It gets into some conspiracy sort of thing, but it's more it's kind of like a comedy. I don't know. We don't really know much of it yet, but it looks pretty fun.
It does look fun. It looks to me very much what I liked about Agatha is that to me felt so fresh rich and original for the
Yeah.
MCU. Similarly, people didn't like She-Hulk, but like very similar to She-Hulk, where it's like something very dramatically different than what we're used to. And to me, this looks dramatically different. I love the idea of like an actor turned superhero. Like I think that's cool. I'll be honest, comic wise, I don't know about Wonder Man. Like I could not tell you anything about his
Like-
comic book counterpart.
Like if I were to tell you one thing, I would honestly just have to pull up like a Google synopsis or
Yeah.
like a Wikipedia definition of the character. But this show looks pretty fun.
It does look fun. Yeah.
I just hate that it's releasing like end of next year. Like, great. I gotta wait till the very end of 2025 to watch a show that I'm very excited for. Thank you, Marvel.
Also, Trevor being back kind of wild. Trevor is just becoming like a reoccurring character at this point.
I completely forgot. I didn't even realize that was him. Like now that you pointed it out, I was like, oh yes, that is him. I'm pretty sure he appeared in Shang-Chi because he was the previous Mandarin quote air quotes because he wasn't. So it's kind of fun to see him back.
Yeah. Maybe he's just in that director's stuff. Like he's in Shang-Chi and now he's here and maybe he's going to Spider-Man next because that's his next movie.
If he makes a cameo in Spider-Man 4, Tom Holland Spider-Man 4, that would honestly pretty cool. I honestly hope that, I mean, like in this show, he's like the director for whatever movie they're filming. That would be kind of funny. That would be pretty cool to have him in the show more.
Yeah, like it seems like he's some kind of like acting coach or something and would lead them on very wacky adventures. Like, yeah, they're in the car here. It looks like they're on like a high-speed chase of some sorts.
The scene that plays after, like with all the neon colors, looks cool.
It does look really
beautiful.
Cool. It does. Okay, I'm trying to see. Is there anything else here? Oh, Eyes of Wakanda had a couple small shots as well. This was announced not that long ago. Like it was announced last year. It was supposed to come out this year actually, but
oh really?
Pushed to next year. Yeah, supposedly.
Oh.
Are we excited for this one?
I mean, it's another animated Marvel thing, so it does look kind of neat. I'm not too excited, but I'll probably watch it anyway. I think it's like an anthology of sorts, with like Wakandan warriors, so that could be kind of neat, but I'm not too excited about it. But it doesn't look bad at all. It's kind of like the Marvel Zombies thing, where it's like it just feels kind of like content, but it doesn't look that bad, you know? It'll be fun, maybe. Interesting. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Sorry. I can't hear you anymore.
Oop. I'm back. I'm sorry.
There you go.
I
can hear you now.
I guess. I was just saying, I did think my excitement for it did slightly diminish when I heard it was like a 4-episode like little event.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, I was hoping for like a proper length series. I do hope the episodes are at least like, I don't know, 45-minute episodes or something to make it semi worth it. I'd love like hour episodes, but I know it's not going to be a no-hour episode.
Like it could be interesting, but I'm not totally excited. Like I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, Eyes of Wakanda, Marvel is back or something like that.
Right.
But I don't know. It could be kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited. I think all of this looks very good. It was nice to have dates for these as well. So like, let's just pull up the dates really quickly, and then we can finally move on. I'm sorry we've been on this for so long.
It's okay.
I keep skipping it. Uh-oh.
Do you think you could like slow down the time speed or something, or
yeah?
Like, would that help?
Yeah, probably. There we go. Okay, this year, yeah, December 22nd.
December 22nd.
Another Christmas drop. Do you think it's going to be a daily drop like it was last year, or do you think they're going to just?
I think it might be another daily drop. I mean, I don't know. I don't really see them doing another weekly thing because I feel like it would lead straight into the Spider-Man show as well.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be like a daily drop like they did last year.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably going to be weekly. Okay, 2025. Even then, it's really fast. So January 29th, so it's the end of
29th.
January.
I thought it was the 25th, but it's the 29th.
29th. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably a good time for Spider-Man. Like, I have no problem with that. I'm just kind of kicking off the year pretty nicely. And then the following month is Captain America. So there's not much of a break there. So it's like basically what if Spider-Man, Captain America back to back. Then March, the following month, is Daredevil. And then Ironheart's June. But through like Daredevil is going to be like a 9-week show. So it's probably going to be
so it's going to be
March, April,
and then May. Then that's like close to Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Thunderbolts is
later. May. Ironheart probably going into August, maybe. I don't know how many episodes it's gonna be.
Unless they drop it all at once.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's kind of what they did in 2022, where it's like they kind of cranked it out 1 month at a time.
Yeah.
With like maybe a month or two gap between most.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's just a big sign of let's just get it out because no one likes this anymore.
Yeah, and then August, the following month is August.
Oh, that's Sides of Wakanda. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And then October. So what's in between?
Also
Fantastic Four in July. Is there anything August? Well, is there anything in September? I guess September is our free month. That's the month we get off.
Yeah, that's the 1 month, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And then November. Is there anything in November? I'm trying to think.
There was Blade, but it got pushed.
Okay, so nothing in November, probably. And then this in December. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man.
It's crazy.
As someone who loves talking about all these things, I'm excited, but also I'm worried about like the Marvel brand.
I cannot wait for the people online to be like, Marvel let us down. They're going back to quantity over quality. Like it is. That's gonna be a weird time on the internet when all this stuff comes out.
It is. I am a little worried for just how like the perception of it all. Okay, final news story. I do want to talk about this really quickly. First behind the scene photos for upcoming Spider-Man Noir series have surfaced on the internet. I think this is an interesting one for sure. Kind of leading our way into our Venom 3 conversation. I thought this was a nice transition. This is the next Sony Marvel thing that I guess after Kraven. After Kraven, it's our next,
I think,
Marvel Sony thing that we're getting. Are you excited for Spider-Man Noir at all?
I mean, to be honest, like the only thing I've seen of this character is the one from the Spider-Verse movies.
Right.
But I think it could be an interesting show. I didn't know it would be like a part of that Sony universe. I thought it was just going to be its own thing.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it's on its own. Maybe.
I don't know.
But even then, like, I'm not even convinced all the Sony things are connected to Sony, because Madam Web almost feels like its own thing as well, where it's
I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know if it was Dakota Johnson or Sydney Sweeney.
That's right, yeah.
One of them said it was like, they said it was like set in 2003, and it's its own universe.
Right.
Like, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. They haven't said anything. I think it's only just the 2 or so set photos. But it could be interesting, maybe. I mean, it's Spider-Man. It's a different take on it with this different character of Spider-Man. So it could kind of work.
I'm way more excited for this than I have been for any of the like Sony Marvel movies we've got over the last couple of years. Like, this is the direction I want them to go more into. I would love for them to go more into like the multiverse Spider-Man angle of it all. Like, especially like post Spider-Verse, I've said there are so many other Spider-Mans I'd love to see their stories and what they're up to over like, what if Kraven was a good guy? You know, like definitely more of that. We'll see. I think it's interesting that Nicolas Cage is involved. Like, that's pretty interesting. Stranger said, wasn't that what Sony does? Connect it to the universe and it goes back to the last minute. But yeah, that happens a lot where it's like they intend or they want to have Spider-Man involved. Like those early set leaks of Madam Web was like, it's like a Spider-Man time heist movie. And we're like, oh, cool. And it's like, but actually, no, we're not doing that at all, actually.
Yeah, like I remember seeing some like early plot thing before, like I think it was like a year or so the movie came out. I don't remember. It was like it would be about like Madam Web trying to protect a pregnant Aunt May or something like that. And I thought that was like fine. That is not the movie.
No.
That was
No.
It was way different.
Yeah, no, 100%.
what
Like time
actually
travel,
happened.
like Spider-Man time travel movie is sick to me. I was like, yeah, sign me up. That sounds awesome. And it's very clear when you see the movie, oh, this is not the movie they were trying to make. It's clearly a mosh posh of like 10 different movies, studio interference.
It has this like Terminator vibe, like this not kind of like you sees the future of this guy trying to kill these 3 girls or something. I don't know. I thought I remember someone describing it like that. So I thought something like that could be interesting for this movie. No, not at all.
Yeah, I wanted that movie to be better than it was for sure. With that being said, I do want to talk about the new Venom the Last Dance movie that had recently come out.
Yep.
Which, I mean, before we get into Venom the Last Dance, I mean, what's been your kind of opinion on the previous 2 Venom movies we've got? This is obviously the Venom trilogy, which is crazy that Venom has had a trilogy.
The Spider-Man-less Venom trilogy, as I like to call it. Or the Spider-Man-less cinematic universe.
Yep. What's been your kind of take on this universe thus far? Or I guess it's these movies, this universe, whatever you want to call it.
I'll probably just talk about... I'll just talk about the movies.
Good.
Yeah. But, so... These movies aren't technically, like, good movies, but they're guilty pleasures of mine. They're fun to watch. They're stupid entertainment. Mm-hmm. So, like, on the basis of, like, that, they're pretty good on, like, doing that. I did a rewatch of the last 2 movies before I saw The Last Dance, and like it was basically first one kind of mid, and then second one was like a lot better because they actually stem into they just stem into the silliness of it all, and that's what I really liked. Like the scene where there's so many scenes in that movie that are just so funny for no reason. Like Cletus saying, "You got any of them internets?" Like as he hacks into the computer or something. What was it? Carnage saying, "Death to you, father." No, not you, father. You, father. Like that is the camp I live for in these movies. They're very good at delivering that kind of campiness. So what about you? What are your thoughts on these movies?
You know what? I've been seeing everyone do their rankings over the last week where it's like this one's so much better than this one, and this one's so many of this one. To me, like I kind of feel the exact same about all 3 of these movies, where it's like I love Eddie and Venom. Everything that's Eddie and Venom goofing off, eating people's heads, going on road trips, I'm like, hell yes, this is great. And then everything else, it's like these are different movies. Like they really do feel like, and I especially with this one, we'll talk about it, but like this one especially felt like there was the Venom and Eddie road trip movie, and then they had like the symbiote scientist movie, and they were like, let's put them together. Let's just put them together, because every time they go to something else, it's like, I don't really care about this, actually. We go back to the other stuff. And you know what? And, you know, I also think they know that. Like, I think they know their strength, where it's like, yeah, these, like, Tom Hardy is fantastic. Like, he plays his role as Eddie to the best I think he can. Like, I do think he gives it his all. I think, like, the special effects people kill it with them. Like, I think himself looks better looking in every single movie.
Yeah, like honestly, props to the VFX artists. Like sometimes, especially recently, I've been going back and rewatching the different fight scenes in these movies because they're really fun. And I was rewatching the one from the first movie, which is Riot versus Venom. And like honestly, props to the VFX team for the scene where they slam into each other and they're all liquidy, and Venom and Carlton Drake, or no, Eddie and Carlton Drake are just fighting inside them and they merge into one. Like, applaud for the VFX because that looks pretty cool. Even though it's essentially just black symbiote versus gray symbiote, just sludge. They merge into sludge. But props to them. It looked pretty cool.
Okay, this is an interesting comment. I did think about this quite a bit. Can we agree that Last Dance is a stupid title for the movie? It should have been called Lethal Protector. I 100% think they have that dancing scene in the movie and they're like, oh, what if we called it The Last Dance? Because it's the final one of this trilogy. And it's like, yeah, no, I agree. Like, I was kind of defending it before it came out. I was like, okay, let's see what the movie is. Maybe it makes sense. And I agree. It's a little silly of a title, to be fair.
I mean, I'd agree with that, but they do, like, they kind of, my brain, I can't think of words now. They sort of embrace, that's the word, and they embrace the silliness of it. So I'm honestly fine with The Last Dance as it, but I can understand not working for most others. But it also does feel like they saw the dancing sequence and they're like, oh, what if we named it The Last Dance because they're dancing?
Yeah.
Whoa. But I don't know. But like most of the marketing has just been like the final closeout for Eddie and Venom. So a title like this kind of works in a sense.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting because to me, like, this movie does feel like the ending for Tom Hardy. Like it like to me it felt like Tom Hardy was like, all right, I'm done after 3. Like this has been fun. You know, I don't typically do these many sequels. Let's just do one final one and I'm out of here. Like every interview is like, this is it, guys. Don't ask more. I'm done. And it does feel like that. But in no way does this feel like the final Venom movie. Like to me, it feels like a movie trying to set up other movies, and I'm not usually a huge fan of that. Like I don't typically love when your whole point of your movie is to set up the next movie. It's like, well, I came here for this movie, not your next one or the next one after that or whatever you're going to be doing. So
yeah, like when the emotional stuff between Eddie and Venom, like as their final thing, like when that hits, it hits. Yeah. But the journey to get there didn't really feel like it was the end, even though it was. Like it's a weird movie. Like I don't know if I think it's better than, I don't know if it's like the best one or the worst one or in the middle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I had that same reaction where it's like, I think it has some of the best stuff in this trilogy. I also think it has some of the worst stuff in this trilogy. Like I think like we can come back to the thing we were just talking about in a second, but I feel like it does have some of the worst pacing out of all 3 of them.
Yes, especially the pacing. Oh my gosh.
Its first act I thought was pretty bad. Like the way they kind of were like, you kind of get thrown into the movie. Like it kind of feels like the ending of 2. Like it's just like, okay, we're just picking up here and we're just going to keep running and running and running until we somehow get to a third or our second act of the film.
Yeah, like it's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
The whole movie, like they establish things, like they establish Null and the xenophage thing chasing them, and they can't transform into full Venom form, and also all of the other symbiote like Area 51 stuff. So they establish all of that, but the actual like plot of the movie, there's barely none because it's just kind of them going to places. Like are we doing spoilers or are we?
You know what? I'll put on like a little spoiler tag down here, but yeah, spoilers for Venom.
I don't know if we're doing spoilers or not.
Go ahead. Sure. All right, 5-second spoiler warning if you've not seen Venom last.
If you haven't watched the movie, get out now.
If anybody cares about Venom spoilers,
get out of here. If you truly care about the Venom cinematic universe, get out now.
It has been a week, and I feel like most people are like, I'll watch it later,
Yeah.
I guess.
Like I don't know, because it's they start up like at the bar from No Way Home. Then they're on the plane, they get thrust out to the middle of nowhere. It's really them just hopping from one place to another. They meet the family, they go to Vegas, final battle happens, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like just hop from one place to another without much plot. There's moments in that are fun and like emotional stuff that works, but the actual story, like structure and pacing, there's barely none of that. And
Yeah.
then we also just cut back to the scientist stuff. It's a strange paced movie. I'm still really conflicted if it's like the best one or the worst one or the middest. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there's so many elements that make it like the best, because the Venom and Eddie stuff is pretty good. It's just as fun as ever. I think a lot of the silliness is it's up to like 100, and I like that. But sometimes it does feel like it gets too silly sometimes. I think all of the symbiote stuff they do in this movie is really good. Like I do not care if most of these like beginning scenes are expository scenes. Just seeing all this symbiote stuff and just batshit lore and all of that it's kind of stupid, but I also don't care. I like it. I think it has some of the best. It's really just the final act as a whole. It's probably the best final act of the trilogy. And probably some of the best action in these movies. Like, I don't want to go into spoilers, more spoilers, but like all of the symbiote stuff they do, like I was having a blast in the theater. Like I saw this movie with my dad and my brother. During the final battle, my brother's like mouths were like, "Whoa!
Yeah.
There's such cool Venom stuff. It's cool symbiote action and stuff. Like it was just a blast." But it also has like some of the worst stuff. Like the pacing is pretty like piss poor sometimes. I don't hate all the Area 51 stuff, but it's not like the best part of the movie. And I obviously don't want to get into more spoilers, but as much as I like the symbiote stuff, some of it they do waste, and it does make me a bit sad.
I will say this is not a movie for like people that are very defensive of the comics. And as someone who doesn't know comic lore very well, like I'm not an expert in Venom comics, but coming out of the theater, I saw so many people were like, they ruined this symbiote and this one and this one and this one. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like they mixed up colors and they're just like, hey, there's this one that you might know. It's like, but that's not anything like the one I know. And I'm always a defender of like, I'm okay changing up an adaptation, but to me, it did feel like someone kind of looked at like a page of comics. It's like, hey, that guy's cool. Throw him in there. And they're like, wait, they're doing this, this, and this. It's like, who cares? Just put him in there. It's the final one of the trilogy. And I can understand why, if you're a fan of the comics, if you don't like this movie. Like, I completely understand that. But honestly, I think that's kind of the trilogy as a whole. Like, I don't know that many like massive Venom comic fans that are like, yes, the Venom trilogy is my favorite Venom.
It
like,
is peak cinema, absolute cinema. I'm thinking 5 stars.
I do kind of feel like the Venom trilogy is kind of a trilogy for like the casual audience. It's very much like, hey, look at the screen and the big action set pieces, and it's very like popcorn flicky, which I think sometimes works. Like, again, I think for the most part, like when it is just, Venom and Eddie just kind of chilling and hanging out, like it works. It works as that a lot.
Yeah.
It's just some of the other stuff that doesn't work for me all the time.
Yeah, if you're a fan of like big dumb CGI action and goofy campiness like myself, you will probably like these movies. They're not good movies, but they're not really made to be good. And they're just like, they're kind of like I already said, they're a guilty pleasure of mine.
Sure.
Like if I don't want to think too much about watching a movie, like if I'm not feeling of watching like the Batman or something, or the Dark Knight, or I don't know, any more comic book movies that are pretty complex, I'll just sit down and watch like a Venom movie because it's just an alien fighting another alien that's like himself but a different color. And I'll just have a blast with that. You know, that's what these movies are.
I agree. I think for the most part, like I do think I think this one, I did find that appeal a little bit less because it is like the fifth one in this universe at this point, where it's like, okay, they're kind of they've got us a fifth time, which kind of making this subpar comic book movie where it's like with 1 and 2, I was like, okay, this is fun, this is whatever. But I do think when there are so many comic book movies that come out every year, especially I think recently we've had a lot of good ones. Like we are, especially, I'd actually say in 2024 it's been a great year for comic book properties in general. Like especially over on the TV side of it. Like when we are getting so much good, it is so much noticeable when you get like a Venom 3 or you get a, depending on who you ask, like a Flash or like a Shazam 2 or whatever, where it's like, but you can do better. Like we've seen you do. I mean, you look at Spider-Verse. Like, look at what Sony's doing with Spider-Verse and being like, can you put like a little bit of that juice over to your other stuff? That would be really, really nice. Stranger says, I kind of have hope for Kraven, but at the same time, I'm keeping my expectations low. Do you think Kraven will be good?
There's a part of me that says no, but at the same time, kind of yes, because I rewatched the trailer just to. I don't think I'd seen any trailer. I know they released a trailer back in August, but it was like late at night, and I didn't watch one the next morning at all. I don't think. So I rewatched that, and then the first one they released like a year ago before it got delayed, and I feel like it could be like almost on par with like maybe the first Venom or so, because like it does feel like it's just a big dumb action blockbuster, but it's got that R rating, which is probably something that I do feel like most of these Venom movies have been missing. Like, I mean, I think The Last Dance pushes the PG-13 rating the most out of these movies, but Kraven goes full R-rated. Like, there's a scene in the trailer where he kills a guy with a bear trap or something. So I feel like on that it could be pretty fun, pretty decent, maybe. But it's a Sony Spider-Man movie. It could be probably bad. Who knows? I need to see it, you know?
Yeah, listen, I'm someone that puts like I try and give everything a chance. Like I always like going into something being like, I think this could be good, and I put that full forward. And with these Venom movies, they have the Sony movie, they keep burning me, especially with Madam Web, because I defended the heck out of Madam Web. I was like, you know what? No, they got something really good here. I think this could be really, really cool. And they burned me, but I'm like, okay, but this Venom movie, there's been 2 bad ones, but this one might be good. And it's like, oh, okay. I can't go into Kraven being like, no, I have hope for this. Like, I have to go in. I'm going with very low expectations, and I really hope they blow me away. That's what I want. I would love it. I've said this for Madam Web and Venom 3. It'd be so funny if like Kraven was the best comic book movie of the year. I think that'd be hilarious. And they're like,
Wolverine. Okay,
I would love it. Kraven just goes off and wins an Oscar. Like it's just the best thing you've ever seen in your life. I think that'd be so funny.
It would be crazy if Kraven the Hunter was good. At the very good.
That's bare minimum at this point. Good.
Yeah.
We'll get back on the Venom topic here in a second, but I want to answer Levi's comment. Hi, off topic, but I loved Agatha all along. Just want to express my enjoyment. We talked about Agatha at the front of the stream. I think we both really enjoyed that show.
I really, really liked it. I had no expectations for it. The first, I think it was the only 2 trailers they released for it. They looked fun, but that was it. Fun, but I didn't expect it to be at least well written. So that was not on my bingo. That was the 2024 bingo card. Agatha all along being a well written show. I did not expect that.
I hope it teaches people not to judge a book by its cover as much.
Exactly. I think I remember there being some dislike toward the trailer and stuff before it came out, but I was like, it could be not bad. Maybe
Yeah.
like it looks fun. I like the witchy stuff, especially in the second trailer. I thought the second trailer was like a major improvement because they show it a little bit more than that. But it surprised the heck out of me, and people like it. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really just the Wanda Maximoff fans, I'm assuming, and the WandaVision fans. But either way, it's getting a positive rep.
I
More
mean,
than
it's.
most shows in a while, at least.
I mean, it's one of the most watched Disney Plus shows in a while. I think this latest episode got 7 million. Like I think the finale got like 7 million views, which is very good. Like a lot of these Disney Plus shows have not got that high. It was also the cheapest Disney Plus show, which is
like under
also really good.
$40 million or something.
Yeah.
Like it was very. I remember seeing like an image. It was Aubrey Plaza. Is that her last name? I think that's her name.
Yep.
It was like the practical effect like of death with her mouth skull or something. And I saw it, I was like, what?
It looks
'Cause
really
it was
good.
not it looked really good. It was not CGI. So I thought that was really cool. The whole like Witch's Road, like it was an entire set. I was very surprised with that because I thought they would just use the volume or something. And
Yeah.
yeah.
They have
I mean,
physical sets there, and like there's not these massive like there's some CGI stuff in there, but it's a much more minimalist than you would see in like a Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something,
Yeah.
or Loki, or actually Loki had a lot of like physical sets as well, but like it's much more grounded, I guess, and they didn't have to spend as much money.
Yeah. And I think what like really solidified that point is there's just a short bit in episode 8 where it's just a still scene, but it's Rio walking towards the backdrop and cutting it open. Like that looked neat. It was like I don't know about like an optical illusion of sorts, but like it was just weird. that was a pretty cool bit. They kind of utilized the set in a way, like set backdrop for that scene. Just honestly, props to like the set developers and all that because that was impressive for like under $40 million and stuff. Like, I would like more shows kind of like that with a little bit more practical effects and stuff, so they're not spending $225 million on each for an entire show or something.
Right.
Like, it really surprised me.
I agree. I think they used, not to stand Agatha too long, but like I think they used what they had to their advantage. Like it really reminded me of like what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was doing with their budgets, and like even like the Defender show. They didn't have massive budgets, but they used everything they had to their advantage, and like they used makeup for a lot of things. Episode 7 does so much in the editing room in terms of how that episode is put together. Just like
oh gosh,
how they
how they did all the divination visions or something. That was really cool. And the scene where the tower flipping, like
is that she goes upside down through the
it goes upside down. It's sort of slow-mo. I remember seeing like a few shots of that in the trailer, and I was interested to see that because I thought it looked pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was right, that was really cool. It was more than cool. It was it was so bonkers. I don't know. My brain just kind of stopped right now, but
no, it's totally okay.
It was that was a really interesting thing they did for that bit.
Kind of going back to the Venom here for a second. What was your thoughts on the little like camping or like vacationing group that Venom and Eddie kind of met up with? Because they took up a lot of screen time in this movie.
Like,
I've heard people love them. I've heard people hate them. What's your kind of take on that little subplot?
I'm kind of in the middle where it's like I think they're a fun addition in the movie. And there's the scene in the climax where Eddie is interacting with them for the first time, and I thought that was kind of sweet. There's the scene in the beginning where they're in the van having a sing-along. Venom is joining in, and I think there was a scene at night where they're interacting with the kid and the father.
Yeah.
I don't think there's like any music at all. It's just kind of silent and just them talking. I was like, that's kind of neat. That's kind of emotional, maybe, as one would say, but like I thought that was neat. But then they just kind of get dragged into Area 51. They just are there. The scene where I think the father uses a rocket launcher, I think it was. Like I said
He
before,
just appears back up. Like they
he just
left,
shows up.
and then he's like, "Actually, let me save him really quick." I was like, "How do you know he needed help? Why'd you come back?"
Like they go, but he's like, but actually. But yeah, like I said, I already saw the movie with my father and my brother. But like, so when we saw the scene where he uses a rocket launcher, he whispered to me, "Dude, he was so badass." Like, and I was like, "Yeah, he was. He's risking his life to save a guy he knew like less than a day or something."
Yeah.
Like, so for like the beginning of the movie and a little bit at the end, they're fine, but they just kind of stick around and
Yeah.
Mm.
They overstay their welcome a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually really like the trip there quite a bit. Like, actually, I think there's a bit of the movie I enjoyed the most, where it is Eddie and Venom hanging out with this random kind of group of people. And like, I love the scene where it's like Eddie is comforting the kid because he's afraid of aliens. Like, I think that's such a good, that actually might be one of the better scenes in this trilogy, of being like, dude, there's no such thing as aliens. It's okay. You're going to be fine. Knowing very well there are such things as aliens. I think that was a nice parallel for Eddie, where it's like, Eddie at that moment is also terrified of aliens because they're coming for him and, you know, his best friend. I think that's a nice little moment. And like him outside eating the food with everybody. Like, I think that's all great. I do think they should have left. Like, when they left Eddie and Venom, I do think they probably should have stayed gone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they should have came back in the third act. Terrible parents, I thought. Like, just them bringing all their kids into Area 51, being like, "All right, kids, let's go." I was like, no, what are you doing? No, you can look from afar.
A whole truck slammed into the watchtower. I was like, what are you doing there? Exactly.
Also, they said they saved up their life savings to go on this trip. I was like, why are you all spending your money on this? Like, I get it's his obsession, but what about the kids? That's a terrible family vacation. Like, go to Disney World or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't know. They're fine. They're fun in the movie.
Yeah.
But then they just kind of stick around, and that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
They probably just needed to like tie them into the third act because I don't know, Chekhov's gun, something like that. I don't know. They're not bad. I don't hate them at all.
Yeah, they're fine. I mean, I assume it's just because I heard this was like a writer strike movie. Like, it was done a lot during the writer strike, so I could have seen
Yeah,
a
it
world
kind
where...
of feels like that too. Along with Deadpool and Wolverine, in a sense too. Those two movies feel like they were slightly butchered in the writing, because of the writer strike.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, I guess everything with the scientist stuff, that's the stuff that again really doesn't work for me. It's like they can't choose on a villain. Like, it's like they have a couple, like they have like the Codex thing that's coming after Venom. They can't transform. There's that thing, and then there's Nolan in the background, which we can talk about in a second. And then you have the General, which every time the General's on screen, I roll my eyes because he's like copy paste like General comic book character. Like, he's just like, you killed my men, and then proceeds to kill even more of his men in his crusades. It's like, all right, buddy, come on. Like,
yeah, like I think I've already said before, I don't hate all that. I like their interactions with that green symbiote that takes over Mulligan. Okay, I kind of I don't want to go too far from what I'm talking about, but there is one question I have with the movie, and I don't think they answered it. At the end of the second movie, he like survives but has blue eyes. Did they ever like answer that, or no? Because I remember when I rewatched it, there's the scene where he says like monsters, and then his eyes glow blue, and I don't think they do anything. They don't answer that. They just kind of have him in the cell for the entire movie with the symbiote, and then he dies. So,
right.
But
yeah,
sorry, you go.
No, it's fine. I don't have anything to add to that specific point. Just like, yeah, I don't think they tie back in. And, you know, like, there's even a lot of things in this movie they don't quite, like, wrap up. Like, there's characters that, like, you know, there's the one scientist chick that gets the Venom at the end of the movie, or the symbiote at the end of the movie. It's like, oh, okay, what are they doing with that? Oh, they don't even touch on it. She just has it now, and maybe that's a potential, like, spin-off or solo movie or something they want to do with her.
Is it the purple one? I'm
I think
assuming.
so. Yeah.
I remember. Okay.
The girl from like Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but I might have to here.
Okay. You can spoil it. We have like a spoiler warning up. It's
I
fine.
think we already did that, but that symbiote is Agony. And
Gotcha.
this is pretty funny, but they added She-Venom and Agony as Fortnite skins, but then they revealed it a few months ago, so they kind of like leaked that she was in the movie, but they're in the movie for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like she showed, like it's a speedster symbiote.
Right.
It's a super fast symbiote. She's in the movie for like 5 seconds. How do you waste that? Like, I thought it would be fun if she was like in the final battle, like kind of zooming around, maybe distracting the Xenophage. No, she saves someone and then she has it, and then we don't see that character ever again. It's
Nope.
Oh gosh. Like, it's weird how they introduce so many like new characters, but it's because it's the final one. Like they're not gonna come back ever again. Like the family that we talked about, the last we see of them is them crying because they think Eddie is dead.
Yeah.
That is it. That is all.
No, 100%. Yeah, like the movie does kind of just like end. Like there are a lot of these little plot threads that are kind of hanging in there and stuff like that, and like, yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, like Venom and Eddie get separated. Like, he's back to normal now. Venom is, I assume, going to be. I assume our Venom's kind of dead, and when we see that new Venom's going to be kind of like a different Venom. Like, it's going to be like different personality, different kind of whatever. It's like it's going to be separate.
Yeah, there's the Venom symbiote in the MCU that was left in No Way Home.
That too,
and
yeah.
I think there was the one at the very, very end of the movie where he like took over a cockroach or something. Because I know they talked about that at the beginning of the movie. So maybe he'll be coming back. Maybe Sony will just forget that this is a last movie and do a Venom 4. I don't know.
At this point, and it seems like they are still committed to these Sonyverse. I cannot see them being done with Venom. This is easily their most popular brand at the moment.
Yeah,
you can call it that.
The most profitable of these Sony Spider-Man-less movies.
I can almost at this point, unless they completely pivot directions and try something else, I do think a Spider-Man 4 is a Venom 4 is happening. But I do think probably Tom Hardy's out. Like I do think that he's out completely. I could see them maybe trying to do like a Flash situation or someone else altogether, kind of giving them the symbiote. And then listen, Sony, like if this is the direction you want to go, will I be excited? Probably not. You've burned me 3 times. I don't think I'd be super into it. But if you do it, this is your time to rebrand, right? Like the first 3 have been the demographic of like common family-friendly, action flick, right?
Yeah.
This would be your time to rebrand. If you wanted to finally be like, okay, people really want that rated R Venom. They really want something a bit more comic accurate to what they're typically used to. This is their time. They could totally do that if they wanted to. We'll see. I do want to ask you about Noel for a minute because there's been a lot of speculation about Noel. He was marketed as the main villain. He's not the main villain of this movie. He's
kind of like Thanos in the first Avengers, except they actually marketed him in this movie to make you think he's a big part of the movie, but he's not that much. Sorry, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, there's been a lot of speculation. Some people like to think he's going to be the upcoming villain for Spider-Man 4, which is going to tie the Sony stuff together. I am honestly not sure about that. I'm not sure if that's the direction they're going to go. I almost think they might save Noel as like the Sonyverse Thanos almost. Like I would not be shocked if they managed to finally get that Sinister Six movie out and like he's the villain of the Sinister Six, where it's like Kraven and Venom and
Morbius and Madam
Morbius
Web.
and Vulture now. Oh, it's Vulture's here or whatever. It's like maybe that's their plan. What do you think? Do you think he's Spider-Man 4 or do you think he's Sony whatever?
I
Or do you
don't
think we
know.
never see him again? Maybe we never follow any of this up. Maybe this is it. We're done. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I feel like they could do them for like, because I know that Sony's been wanting to do Sinister Six since like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 or something like that, and they've probably been trying to push it with these kind of movies. With Vulture meeting Morbius, and he's like, I don't know how I got here. It has to do with Spider-Man, I think.
That was
And
so
it's like,
bad.
I think a bunch of guys should team up, should do some good. And Morbius is like, intriguing. But I don't know. Like, a part of me thinks that they're gonna do that, but at the same time, they're not, because, like, who's gonna fight Null? Like, Venom was, like, I guess the strongest out of all these characters, and he's gone pretty much. So, like, what do you have? You have Morbius, Madam Web, but that's in a separate universe, and then Craven. But like, who else is gonna fight Null? Like an animal hunter, he's gonna get wiped in 1 second flat. Like, if it were to fight Null. But I don't know. I don't really see him for Spider-Man 4 because I think they've wanted to do Spider-Man 4 as like a different street level, sort of, at least different from the No Way Home movie. So I don't think they'll do him for that. I'd assume they'd use him, for like a Sony thing, but I probably do not know, because after Craven, what is even left of this universe? Like, I don't think there's any projects. I mean, maybe the Spider-Man Noir project, but I don't even know if that's like a part of the same universe. So
They have a couple projects. I mean, they had the one wrestling project that's been like that Bad Bunny one that was like
a movie that was supposed to release like earlier. It was supposed to release in January of this year, and the main star dropped out. So
that's delayed inevitably at the moment. Let's see. Hopefully they don't go back to it. And then you had like the Donald Glover project that we don't know if that's even still on the table. For his sake, I kind of hope not. I kind of want to keep Donald Glover as far away from this universe at least as possible. I know some people like it. I do kind of hope this is like, I do kind of hope after Craven they're done. Like, I hope they're like, okay, let's pivot to something else. Like, obviously they do these movies so they can keep the rights to Spider-Man, and I'm like, you know what, fair enough. I can understand that to an extent, but maybe do something else. I've even pitched like, hey, that Spider-Man Noir, if that's if that's well received enough, maybe that could be the start of your new little universe or something.
Yeah, they're gonna just forget. They're gonna like pull a Secret Wars, reboot everything with Spider-Man Noir. All of that's what we've seen over the last like 6 years does not matter. But I don't know. I really have no idea what's left for this universe. I hope it's done. I mean, I do hope they bring Null back, like, in some way with like the MCU or maybe something else. If I have no idea. Like, it's very unsure, very unclear for what Sony's plans are for the next like years with these movies. Because after Craven, it's just like a blank slate,
Yeah.
just going nothing. That's the word I'm looking for. Nothing.
Yeah, I'll be curious because I do think Noel, the like limited knowledge I know of Noel, I think could be cool for a Spider-Man movie if done well. But also, I almost don't want them to even have connections to the Sony universe right now. Like, I would, at this point, just rather being like, no, don't, because obviously there's going to be people that look at the Spider-Man 4 and be like, well, I haven't seen Venom 1, 2, and 3. Why would I go see this movie that has connections to Venom in it? You know what I mean? So I hope it's that grounded Spider-Man movie. It's been up in the air. They've said it's a bit of multiverse and grounded. It's been like the reports, and it's like,
yeah,
okay. I'm still hoping for Kingpin. I'd love if Kingpin could be or something of, like, I'd even like a tombstone or something that kind of connects to Kingpin. I think that'd be sick. We'll see. I do want to read these last couple comments from Stranger before we kind of wrap up our conversation here. There was a rumor that young boy was going to be a 10-year-old Peter Parker. They say that in every one of these movies, though. Like, they said the same thing for Madam Web. They said the same thing for Craven or no, Morbius. I think they had rumors for Morbius too. It's like, no.
I don't remember there being much. Okay, well, I didn't even have much like Twitter access back when the first trailers dropped. But I think I remember hearing some stuff for like 10-year-old Peter Parker or a Peter Parker in Madam Web. And I remember people online about the trailer it was the first trailer for Venom 3. They talked about how that could be like a Peter Parker or something.
Yeah.
It's not.
I really don't. I think it's finally time we accept. I don't think they're allowed.
Yeah,
I think
like
if they were allowed, he would have been in Venom 1. I really do think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty like they have all these access to these Spider-Man villains, but not Spider-Man himself. Yeah. So they have to try and just use these scraps of characters that are very related to Spider-Man to do well in their own movies. And I remember watching a video talk about this whole thing. They made Diamond Bolt. He made a video about the Sony movies, and he said this about Venom 1, that it taught Sony the wrong lesson that they could make movies about these Spider-Man characters and make bank off them. Because the first one made like $800 million.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of doing this with all these different characters that have close ties to Spider-Man.
I do think they're choosing the wrong characters. Like, I think Venom actually is one that, like, can work. Like, I think he's a cool enough character. You can establish it by itself and do whatever.
Yeah,
but
I just got like. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You've also got like all the symbiote lore and stuff in the comics that you could draw from these into these movies, which is what they do. You know, if not good in some senses, but they do it, and I think that's what works in a little bit. You know,
right? And then like Kraven and Morbius, I just think are bad examples of that because they really can only exist within the lens of Spider-Man, right? It's like, what, like, you know, the big thing with Kraven, like the main criticism is like, well, he's not really Kraven anymore. He's just like this new hunter that's, you know, doing good for stuff. Madam Web, I did think could. Like, you have like those Spider-Woman, like Spider-Woman and all these characters, they're heroes on their own. I would love to see their own individual projects, but it's like, you didn't let them utilize that to their full potential, and now they're probably never getting that chance again. So
yeah, like here's the thing: I'm fine with like minor differences to a character or complete differences to the character, as long as it like can work for the story they're trying to tell. You know, like I'm not sure how like Morbius is related to Spider-Man in the comics. I don't read a lot of the comics, but like with the idea they have for the movie, it could have worked. But it's just not good. It's not written well, you know? And it doesn't surprise me that they got the same writers for Morbius into Madam Web. I don't know if you realize that, but they have both those movies have the same writers. And it still blows my mind about that. Yeah. But
all right, let's read through a couple more of these comments. I say bring in Flash Thompson like their own version and make him Agent Venom. Yeah, I think something along those lines is probably what they're going to attempt to do. Which, like I said, if you rebrand it, you try something new. Honestly, I'll see. I mean, I'll hear you out. Maybe they can make something fun of it. I don't know. I mean,
if this would be like for a Venom 4 or something else, like I don't know if I'd be too happy about it. But at the same time, I'll probably be there in the theater day one just to watch it because I like Venom. I like this version of it in the movie version at least a little bit. So. I don't know. It could work, you know.
Yeah. Did you guys see the director said that they put Noel to test the waters to see if he would do good as a Thanos for their own trilogy? Yeah, I did hear something that they were like, oh, maybe like a Noel movie, like his own solo movie or whatever. And you know, I'm not an expert in Noel. I'm not gonna sit here and say he would or he wouldn't, but I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Maybe as like sort of like a Transformers 1 where it's like the origins of how like because I'm pretty sure he was kind of trapped or imprisoned on a planet or something. So maybe it'd be something like that where we see that, you know, maybe we have like an early version of Venom or Riot or maybe some of the other symbiotes that we saw in the climax for Venom 3 that died. We basically see like an early version of that. And how they imprison Null, or so I think that something like that could work. I don't know if it'd be like fully live action because I feel like that
That'd
would
be very expensive. You
it'd
would
be
need
like
animated would be nice.
Yeah, animated because it honestly like that scenario would be on par with doing Transformers 1 and like that whole backstory, like the Cybertron War and all of that, but in live action, you know?
Yeah,
Like it would have to be fully animated pretty much because
I
if it
agree.
wasn't, that would be like $800 million. Like, the movie would have to get like $2 billion just to break even or something like
Right.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stranger said, and you had the Spider-Woman movie that they announced. I don't know. Is that like the Gwen Stacy movie they teased, or is that something different? That's
I
a
feel like
different.
it might be something different. I didn't even know they greenlit that. I mean,
I don't.
I
They
don't.
announced so many of these little things where like it's happening. It's like, but actually it's not. It's just people saying whatever.
They announced it at Comic-Con. It's like, oh guys, we're making this thing.
Right.
Get ready for this. And then it just kind of comes crashing down later because they just do not know how to manage these things, I guess.
Or sometimes people will say, "Hey, we would like to do this," and then these articles are like Spider-Woman movie in the works. It's like, actually, I didn't say that. I said I'd like to do one. There's a
It
difference.
reminds me so much of when they did like announce the El Muerto movie because I'm pretty sure in the comics he's appeared in like 2 issues. He's like a Z-list Spider-Man villain, and they decided to make a whole movie about him, but the actor dropped out, and I guess it's put on hold. I thought they canceled it or something because it doesn't feel like something they should do. Like
No.
I just do not care.
All right, our last comment here. I think the Black Cat and Silver Sable movies they were trying to make could have worked, especially since they both have solo comics without Spider-Man in them for the most part. I agree. Those are the type of characters I want to see more. These there are heroes within the Spider-Man world that exist and are operating and can run their own stories. You know,
Honestly, like if there are any other characters that are like Spider-Man adjacent that don't like these characters, you know, it says that they don't have solo comics. I feel like they could just do on them. They don't have to do these ones about villains or about anti-heroes or something. They could find Spider-Man adjacent heroes that aren't too related to Spider-Man and just do that. That could work. I don't know why they didn't do that before.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually think Black Cat would, like, when I'm thinking about, like, Spider-Man characters to get a spinoff, Black Cat's probably one of the first ones to come to mind, be like, yeah, you could totally do a Black Cat movie. Like, there's potential there for sure. Obviously, people will be wanting the dynamic that they have with Spider-Man, but, like, I think it works better than, like, Venom or any of these other things. Or Venom can work as well, but I mean, like, better than some of the other ones. I feel like they wanted to do a Venom movie. They could have just done Agent Venom. He's a superhero. It kind of feels like they were trying to get there. Like at the end of 2, it did feel like we were trying to head into the direction of like anti-hero Eddie and, you know, whatever going out saving people. And I feel like we didn't quite get there. Like, I didn't feel like they had much time or whatever. Like, I don't know.
I feel like we see a little bit of that in the beginning of the movie where he's saving a bunch of dogs from a bunch of these the bad guys.
That was a fun scene.
So, yeah.
I feel like that's it for Venom. I feel like I think that's gotta be it for us. I just like overall thoughts on the movie, just like overall kind of ending thoughts. Like, what would be your like overall opinion? What'd you say?
So, if you enjoyed like the other 2, you might enjoy this. Like, it's kind of hit or miss for me, but like when it hits really good. I think the whole climax, last 20 or 30 minutes, go really hard, but the journey to get there is kind of choppy and messy. But you know, when it works really well, and I'm as far to say it's maybe the best one, like just on pure emotion, campiness, action, especially. But on some levels, I feel like Let There Be Carnage is slightly better because it feels like it has like competency, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it feels a lot more simpler and structurally better and better paced.
Yeah.
But the let there be carnage, or not let there be carnage. The Last Dance is probably the best in terms of action and all that, but also has some of the worst elements. You know, it has the mix of everything I like and dislike about this trilogy. So it's sometimes the best, sometimes the middest. I don't think it's the worst. It just depends on how I feel any day of the week. Right now, I think it's probably the best, to be honest. It's a lot more aspects.
Yeah, I think I might go like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to rewatch the first two because I actually enjoyed two quite a bit. Like it's like whatever. I
Yeah.
might go like 2, 3, 1 perhaps because I do think one is like quite a mess. I do think
Yeah,
it's
like,
quite
one is quite a mess. It kind of has this like charm to it. It probably has the best like vibes compared to the other ones.
Mm.
The second one takes things I like about the first one, like the Eddie and Venom dynamic, amps it up a lot, and then improves on it, the first one in every aspect. Better villain, especially Carlton Drake. I wanted to bring this up. Carlton Drake in the first movie sucks. He's fine in the beginning, like he isn't too bad. But then the Riot symbiote, like I know the 6 months meme, but the fact that it's very baffling. Like I know we all joke about it a lot with the 6 months thing, but the fact that the internet had to make something up about this villain because there is nothing in the movie that makes them interesting. Like that's kind of a failure on the movie, to be honest.
Yeah,
He
sure.
like spends 6 months, funny, and meets Carlton Drake, and he's just kind of there. Like Carlton Drake is at least kind of interesting in the beginning of the movie, but then they do the 6 month time jump, and then he later meets Riot, and then they just fight. It's a large mess. But Cletus Cassidy is like fun. Carnage is fun. They have one of those like personality things a villain should have. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's got a bit of depth with his romance in the movie with Shriek. It's not bad. It's just a lot more fun to watch than the first one.
I agree. Yeah.
And sorry, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think most people dub the second one as the worst one, and especially recently, I've been seeing. I was like, "Huh, okay." I think I got the most enjoyment out of the second one.
Like,
out of the
really, this is the worst one. Like the first movie, Venom doesn't show up until like 59 minutes in, and as I was watching the movie, like I even took note of that. I paused the movie. The second he started transforming, it was exactly 59 minutes in. He doesn't show up until an hour into the movie. It is an hour and 49 minutes. He doesn't show up until like an hour in. Like if it was like maybe 30 or 40 minutes, then I'd be fine. But he shows up until like an hour in, and like I just want to get to that Venom stuff. I don't need to see. I mean, I don't really need to see much about Eddie's downfall, like his love life and all that. Like, I mean, it's fine, but like an hour in is just too long, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
With that being said, I do think this comes to the end of today's episode. Marnie, thank you so much for being here. This was an absolute blast.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was quite nice to be here again.
Absolutely. Marnie, where can people find you?
So I mostly I have a YouTube channel. I play a lot of games. I think I said that at the beginning a little bit, but I do play a lot of games. I play Fortnite. I have a lot of Call of Duty games, so I do some Call of Duty videos every once in a while. I'm trying to get into other games, like I did a Minecraft video a few months ago. I did a Super Mario Wonder video back in like March or something. So yeah, if you're interested in some of those, check me out on there. I'm working on one Fortnite video on the new season, which literally released today.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty Zombies video, which I recorded last week, but I have been busy doing that. I have like maybe 2 other Fortnite videos planned and one other Call of Duty Zombies video planned. I have a lot going on with all that. So if you are interested in all that, check me out. I do also have Discord, Instagram, and Twitter as well if you want to follow me on there.
Amazing, yeah. His link in or his channel link will be up in the title. You just click his little name and it'll take you right to his channel. Make sure to be doing that. Yeah, in terms of me, we have a couple videos coming out this week. I think our Sunday video should be coming out on track for tomorrow. Tuesday, during after the credits, we'll be back for the finale of Agatha, penultimate for Penguin, and new episode of Superman and Lois. So check that out. And I should be back next Thursday. Pipeline should be back on our regular scheduled time, if you will. So check us out then. I think we're talking, what is it? MC Retrospective is back. So we're talking about Iron Man 2 and Thor. So check out all of that stuff. And yeah, without further ado, everybody, I will see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.